it's not the dulcet tones of MJ that you're hearing this evening. It's Claire O'Brien sitting in for the next couple of weeks. And over those 2 weeks, we'll be looking at everything from the price of wool to livestock nutrition in the drought conditions many farmers are experiencing, to the shows that are such an important part of our summer farming life. I spent a terrific day at Tinahely Show on the August Bank Holiday Monday, possibly one of the most scenic show sites in the country on a very fine day. And of course, the Midlands calendar of shows is full as well. Tonight on Country Life, we will chat to the student behind one of the most exciting inventions at the Tullamore Show. We'll hear what messages Seamus Boland, President of the European Economic and Social Committee, had for the European Commissioner who visited his Midlands farm very recently. And as Moat Show is just around the corner on the 23rd of August, we chat to the Athlone native who is the chairman of the National Vegetable Association for the UK and Ireland, ahead of the Vegetable Championships. We start tonight with a step back in time to last weekend when between 65 and 70,000 people arrived to the Butterfield Estate for the biggest one-day event in the country, which just gets better and better. My colleague Caoimhe Killeen was there picking up the vibes for you.
That's the sounds of the Pipe Parade making its way through the crowds, on its way to the parade stand, on its way to open the 35th Tullamore Show. The Butterfield Estate in Blue Ball, hosted this year, with its grounds hosting every single sector under the sun from horticulture to dairy. Taoiseach Micheál Martin was one of the visiting officials.
Delighted to be here in Tullamore at the largest one-day show in Europe. Personifies the very highest in standards in Irish agricultural industry and food production, and in rural life as well, and there's tremendous variety and diversity of stalls here, which illustrates, I think, the very significant role that Irish agriculture and food production has in the Irish economy.
Leading the opening parade of St. Bridget's Pipe Band from Mount Boldus was Blue Ball's Stan Lawless.
I'm doing this around 20 years, and we just help out whenever we can, and that's the way it is in the locality, I'd say I only missed one in that length, I'm at them all, and it's good day's entertainment, and when the weather's good everybody enjoys it. We're only just doing the start of the parade, and we're going down to the parade stand, and it'll be handed over then to the dignitaries. They'll take it from there.
And do you ever get tired of it?
No, it's once you're here in the morning early and you have everything ready, once you prepare for it, everything works out okay.
And what are you going to be doing for the rest of the day then after the parade?
I think I'm helping to park out cars, and last Friday I was down here for 3 hours helping out, playing a bit of music for the old crowd, which was very good. They brought in a lot of the older people who were invalids, some of them, etc., and some with special needs, and they got food here and they were entertained. There was 6 or 7 musicians here, and it's very good, and some of them joined in and we got them to sing as well.
In his speech, Chair of the Tullamore Show Committee, John Keena, paid tribute to the various stewards and reflected on the show's progress.
And we wouldn't be here today without them. I want to thank the hundreds of volunteers who helped us to put this great show together, and hopefully they'll be here over the next couple of weeks to take it down with us. But look, just joking aside, there's a massive amount of people behind just after the show committee, and to come in here for whatever number of hours, days or whatever they give, and there's a real buzz on the site for the last week. So as I say, I want to thank all them people for helping us out. 35 years since the show has been revived, and it continues to grow each year.
This year marked the first show since the passing of 2 of its founding members, Tommy Finlay and Christy May. Martina Neville headed up this year's dairy section, and as Tommy's daughter, she says it's a great tribute to his memory.
Tommy was one of the founding members when the show was resurrected in 1991, and it started out as a small show at that time, but there was a great team and committee and volunteers, and they just worked tirelessly, and as they went along, more people joined and got involved in the show, and it is what it is today. But Tommy would have helped out in a lot of the site and everything, but it was the dairy section was his main area because we dairy cows at home. So himself and another man, George Gill, would have got the dairy section going, and so they've extended the breeds and everything. So yeah, that was Tommy. Yes, it was just the committee, because I suppose Tommy had been one of the founding members. The committee thought it'd be a nice idea to have something in memory of Tommy, and so we just placed it beside the dairy ring. He was never man for fuss, or he wouldn't like a whole lot of attention. So the committee donated the bench, and his name is on it. It's there beside the dairy ring, so it'll be there for the classes today, and then we'll be put it into storage then over the winter.
So you'll be putting it out for every Tullamore show then go forward?
Yes, we will. Yes, every year we'll pull it out. Yes, yeah, it'll keep him with us.
Another feature this year was the Sustainable Livestock Village, with talks under the theme of the International Year of the Woman Farmer, recognising the vital contribution women make to Irish agriculture while highlighting the importance of generational renewal. Michael Dolan oversaw the village this year and says the stigma around female farmers is improving.
It's about recognising the role that women play, and about, even going to March a number of years ago, it was frowned upon. Now it's accepted, and about trying to get younger people involved, the family, and get them involved, and get people to see it as a viable alternative to other lines of work. And it's just about recognition, and about that people are more aware of the role they're playing. And as we all know, when it comes to paperwork and a lot of them things, it's often the lady of the house that makes sure that all that stuff is right, especially when there's an inspection around the corner.
It wasn't all just farming as glitz and glam returned to the show through the fashion tent. Bridget Dooley oversaw the shows and judging from categories from glamorous granny to bonny baby and traditional farmer.
The only fashion show that I know of to date that holds a crowd of over 900 on the one day. So it's amazing to have that achievement. And we have Mandy Marr from Galway and her Catwalk model agency. She could be wearing wellies, she could be wearing a tweed jacket, and the judges are there. I have Liz Fleming this year from Elegance and Classy and Elegance, and Clara. And, herself and Jacinta are scouting around there looking to see what they'll pick, and then I have all the rest of the judges doing the best dressed man, and it is about an agricultural show. But look at all the clothing stalls that are here, your gilet, your check shirt, your jeans, your boots. So, we take that on board, and there's loads of exhibitors out there to dress the best man and the most appropriate.
What's your best style tip for farmers?
Just a straight look of, your nice shirt, your clean look. He could be having a walking stick, a nice cowboy hat, a nice peaky tweed cap. Me personally, that's what I go for, but I'm not judging it, so I leave it to them.
And that is from Caoimhe Killeen of the Midlands 103 newsroom, who brought that collection of memories from Tullamore Show 2026. We'll be staying with the Tullamore Show after the break when we chat to Nicholas Berry about this year's Inventions section. And we'll talk to the young Kerryman who won the Student Award with something that is really going to pique your attention. Stay with us. You're listening to Country Life on Midlands 103. You're listening to Country Life on Midlands 103, and it's me, Claire O'Brien, sitting in for MJ this evening. Still to come, we'll hear what Seamus Boland told the EU Commissioner Jessica Roswell about sustainability and viability when she recently visited his farm. Nicholas Berry has been in charge of Inventions at the Tullamore Show since the early 2000s, and this year's show, once more, didn't disappoint with the array of clever ideas farmers have hit upon to make their lives easier. Nicholas has been telling me about the successes this year.
The overall winner had a seedbed preparation machine that goes in the back of a tractor, and it actually prepares seedbed for different likes of plants and everything like that. And sure, then in the student class, we had an electronic tag reader where you can use your phone and it actually transfers onto your phone directly, compared to the readers now that you have to plug into a computer and stuff and transfer it all. And then we had a machine for scraping cubicles and cleaning cubicle beds, along with strip trays and different things like that, and different ideas, the whole lot now.
They are all inventions that have come about, it sounds to me, but as a result of people finding themselves in a situation and thinking there must be a much easier way to do this. And I imagine that makes your job looking after the inventions every year at the Tullamore Show a really, really interesting one.
Oh, it does, because each year you never know what exactly someone's going to invent or come in with, or there's a wide range of things. Like, people come up with different ideas, the likes of ways of pulling in lift arms, and there's so many different things they can come up with to make it easy in life and the whole lot. And there's so many categories they can enter. Like, you can put in something for home leisure and the whole lot, and it just makes everyone's life easier for themselves and for others if people are interested in it.
You have somebody who judges these for you. It's not an easy job when you consider the variety of different tasks that these inventions will deal with.
No, we have 4 different judges that come in, and they'll all be kind of Teagasc based or IT based, that are used to dealing with students and see different projects being made. So they all have a very high standard to what to be looking for in different inventions. And like, one of our judges was with us nearly 30 years now at this stage, so they're there a long time, most of the judges now at this stage.
Yeah. When you described the app that this young person has invented, I imagine that there were ears perking up all over the Midlands, because that is a job that will really make people's lives a lot easier.
That's it, exactly. Sure, I'm farming myself, and I know, like, if you use the tag reader, you have to get a computer, or else try use something to download it onto your phone or whatever, and sure, and it's straight onto your phone. Everything makes it a lot easier.
With the inventor and the judges, are those kind of conversations, do they come up about how effective something is, where the idea for it came from, the process of inventing it?
Oh, it does, definitely. And like, we have had people throughout the years that have started up different businesses and different ideas, and I think Rodney told me before that there was I think it was Class had a competition out in Europe somewhere, and some of the inventions actually went on to that competition before. So there's other competitions that they can go on to over the years, and different things like that as well.
And I know there's at least one Offaly business which is involved in producing something that came out of an invention that was entered in the Tullamore Show. Have you seen in your years since COVID, now that you've been running this, have you seen any invention that you say that now is something that would make a difference in my life, and I'll see if I can utilise it in my own life?
Well, one in particular now actually was the tag reader, the scanner now, because we do weigh cattle and stuff, so that's a very handy one straight off the top of my head. And then sure, over the years then there was different types of bale handlers and way of moving bales and things like that. All them kind of things all make life easier, and solar feeders there that you see cattle out in the field if you don't have to be with them every day, and the whole lot now.
It's always one of the most interesting parts of the show, isn't it? You get a huge crowd of people over the course of the day coming along and having a look and drawing their own conclusions about what the winners should be.
Oh, definitely. There's a huge footfall come to it, and it's amazing the amount of people, even on the Saturday before the show, the different businesses come around and have a look and see what's there and what's coming in the future, like, and having ideas what's happening and the whole lot. It's amazing what people see out of everything that's there.
How important is it to you as a farmer, as a young farmer, that a category like this exists in the Tullamore Show and that you get to look after it?
Oh, it's mighty, because it's great to see what's coming in the future, and farming is evolving so quick. Like, I'm in farming a long time now at this stage, but it's amazing the difference in farming from 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, the differences that are coming in and how high tech everything's getting, and how everything's about making life much easier and the whole lot. So it's amazing how things have evolved over the last number of years.
And that's Nicholas Berry, who is in charge of inventions at the Tullamore Show. And he mentioned particularly the work of Padraig Casey, a young Kerryman who brought his tech savvy to Tullamore and won the student category. The boy from Beaufort has been telling me about what inspired.
Yeah, so it's called the EID phone reader. It's a device for reading livestock tags, made to be as simple as possible and easy to use. I suppose what inspired it is that I feel that farming is often overlooked in terms of technology, that a lot of technology that does come in, it seems to be on the very, very high end of farming, so it's whether it be self-driving tractors, which cost hundreds of thousands or millions, or there seems to be nothing for the normal everyday farmer or part-time farmer. So I suppose that was kind of goal to make something with technology kind of affordable to everyone and everyone.
And it's a really clever and in ways, as the best inventions are, such an obvious and useful and practical thing. So describe how it would be used on the farm.
Yeah, so like I said, it's meant to be as simple as possible. So all the person must do is just plug in their phone into the device and that powers it. So there's no charging or batteries required. And then all the farmer must do then is just, I suppose, present it to a tag on a sheep or cow, and it types into either the phone, or you can also get a Bluetooth receipt printer, and they will type into that and print it off in real time. So if you have the receipt printer, you don't have to go home and print it off on the computer. You just have it when you're leaving the farm. So I suppose that's the simplicity again.
Was it a technically difficult development for you? I mean, how did you go about developing it?
I suppose it was difficult enough, all right, because I'm studying mechanical engineering or mechanical and manufacturing engineering. So we did do a small bit of electronics, but not a whole pile. But I suppose I used what bit of experience I have in electronics and kind of suffered on, I suppose, and worked away with it. And I suppose I was working on it from December roughly until now. So yeah, I suppose it was difficult enough, but it was an enjoyable enough process, and I suppose you'll be learning all the time when you're making stuff like it. So. And
you must have been impressed by all the positive feedback that you got in Tullamore. I was speaking to Nicholas, and he was very excited about it and how practical it is and how useful it is for farmers, potentially.
Yeah, I definitely was delighted with all the feedback I got, because whether it be younger farmers or older farmers coming in, everyone seemed to be very interested in it, whether they're looking to buy it or just see it working. So it was definitely a good, I suppose, confidence boost for the project.
Okay. And finally, Padraig, what will happen next for the project and for yourself?
I suppose I'm hoping just to continue developing it. So I'm doing a business accelerator at the moment in Tralee. It's called Student Inc. It's where you get office space and mentors, I suppose, to develop a project like it. So I'm hoping to continue to do that and hopefully bring it to market in the near future. I hope to, anyway.
Well, please come back and let us know if that happens for you. We'd be delighted to hear that a new invention that's useful to people on a practical day-to-day basis had its first outing in Tullamore Show. Padraig, thanks so much for talking to us on Country Life.
Thanks a lot.
And I think Padraig Casey from Beaufort is a young man we're going to hear a lot from. We wish him the very best of luck with that invention. You're listening to Country Life with me, Claire O'Brien, and after the break I'll be talking to Seamus Boland, President of the European Economic and Social Committee. Stay with us. You're listening to Country Life on Midlands 103. Now, it's not every day that the European Commissioner walks onto a farm in the Midlands, but the opportunity arose recently for Seamus Boland, who is President of the European Economic and Social Committee, to take Commissioner Jessica Roswell on a tour of his farm in the Midlands to discuss biodiversity, sustainability and rural communities. And when I chatted to Seamus yesterday, I asked him, first of all, to tell me a little bit about his own farming situation.
Size-wise, it's 82 acres. I think translating 32 hectares. It's very much a grassland farm. In previous years, we would have had a dairy set up there. We would have even a small pig enterprise at one stage back in the day. But in recent years, because it's suitable for mainly grassland, cattle, etc., we just made some changes and we just produce beef with some sheep over the winter.
So obviously you have land then that is suitable for cattle and for sheep. What kind of sheep?
Yeah, we just have the ordinary blackface Cheviots sheep. We only keep them in the winter for purposes of just keeping a certain oat field farm grazed. It's a piece of land that suffers a bit from bloodwater, and sheep on it do make a big difference. So that's just a natural kind of remedy. We were told many years ago, and it's worked fairly well. We don't breed any animals anymore because I work, and my son, who is partner with me, works as well. So we made that decision to get out of breeding animals and just change the system a few years ago.
So, as I said, Jessica Roswell was the European Commissioner who was with you recently. And you spoke about farming, and you spoke about sustainability and biodiversity. And as you went on that walk through the farm, what kind of conversations were you able to have with her as a landowner and farmer, part-time farmer in the Midlands?
I know her quite well. So my conversations were basically centred on the difficulties faced by farmers who are trying to do the right thing in terms of environmental farming, sustainable farming, etc. And of course, I pointed out to her, as I have many times in public with Irish Link when I was there, farmers actually do more for the environment than any other sector. And that's easily proven because farmers cannot get payments from CAP unless they're actually doing what they're supposed to do, which is environmental farming. So that was the first message I gave her. The second message was that farmers are quite willing to embrace all sorts of change. They've done so before when Europe were trying to produce enough food for Europe to be sustainable in food terms, especially after World War. So farmers did make the massive changes to improve the food levels. The same will apply to the environment, but farmers need help in this regard. You cannot change the farm system overnight. It's costly. It does cost a lot, and it means a huge investment. And so therefore the mechanisms, whether it's grants, whether it's proper loan systems and supports, need to be in place. And sometimes the third message I probably gave her was very strong, which is we need to stop picking and blaming farmers because of emissions, etc. Because, in fact, farmers are doing a lot more for the environment than any other sector, and that they will do more, but they need the investment support required, and that to achieve the kind of results people are looking for in this world, that investment support is still too low.
And I suppose also to achieve a situation where people can have a viable living on a farm, even if it is a small farm, that people can make a living out of it, is important too. And I suppose the more and more challenging it becomes just to tick the boxes to have an animal on the land, the less likely it is that people will give up their time to do that.
Yeah, and I think we have on top of that, we have another problem. We have the highest age transfer of farms in Europe. I think it's averaging at 57 years of age. And that tells us everything. It tells us that young farmers, potential young farmers, are looking at this and, they're finding other occupations. They're finding other ways of making money and making it easier than farming. So the tackling of sustainable farming is also about tackling the income problem, which has always been there. Income is an issue. So I would like to think that the policymakers, especially for the next CAP, will start looking at how can you have sustainable farming on small holdings, which are pretty prevalent not just in Ireland but around Europe, at the same time provide the kind of income necessary to sustain the farmers and encourage younger farmers into the business.
I suppose part of the issue around this is, and I know you say you know Jessica Roswell a long time, but her background is in law, and it strikes me that a lot of people who have opinions and who are in the position to make decisions about what happens on farms don't live on farms, don't know what happens on farms, may never have been to a farm, and yet have very strong opinions about how things should be done. Taking a commissioner for a walk on a small farm in the Midlands is a transformative event in many ways.
I think so. I think the fact that she has her training has been in law is actually, in this case, a good thing, because many people trained in law, eventually become judges, etc. So they have to make judgment decisions based on the facts. and based on the figures. And she is very much of that view. You know, the reality is we can talk all the ideology we want in terms of emissions, etc. But the facts and the figures are, for farming to comply in the way some environmentalists want us to comply means a massive change in the way we do our facts and figures. And she, therefore, I know she visited Ireland earlier in the height of the nitrogen derogation war, and I know farmers were very impressed by her because she actually came over and listened, which sometimes doesn't happen that often. So in this case, she is listening, and I think it's to her credit that she was quite happy to visit my farm, humble as it is, and look at just the way we're trying to do business.
Do you have a sense in your role now in Europe, do you have a sense that there is a big picture vision for the future of agriculture and the future of rural communities and agriculture's role in that as we move on?
The vision for Ireland in the future in terms of farming and rural is, in my opinion, still limited. I mean, the biggest challenge we still face is we need serious research on how do you manage to monetize living in rural Ireland, especially in farms, while at the same time complying with the requirements to produce sustainable farming. And I do know this. Sustainable farming means healthier land, it means healthier crops, it means healthier waterways. So let's be clear about that. It is for the benefit of the community and indeed of the nation. To do that, we need another completely new set of research. The same way we adapted research in the 70s and 80s when we had all the famous farm plans, etc., etc. As one advisor, sadly no longer with us, once said to me, he spent first part of his career advising farmers to get out, to get rid of hedges and drains, etc., etc., and the second half of his career telling them to do the opposite. So I don't think the modern agricultural research has actually caught up with that reality that farming is now a different way and it has to be managed in a different way. But farmers need support, and they need scientific support as well, as well as finance. Farming is now a very demanding enterprise, not just in terms of knowing the crops, knowing the rules, knowing the regulations, but getting the paperwork right. So it's pretty tough.
And that is Seamus Boland, President of the European Economic and Social Committee, telling me about the visit of Commissioner Jessica Roswall to his family farm. And I suppose the message that comes from that is really the importance of everyone with a voice on rural issues taking every opportunity they can to hammer home those issues that Seamus spoke about, the rural incomes, the sustainability, the farm inheritance, and of course viability, and to take those moments at every possible juncture. I'm pretty sure that Commissioner Roswall learned a lot on her visit to the Midlands. We're going to take a break now on Country Life, but when we come back, it will be to chat to Ray Higgins about vegetable championships at Moat Agricultural Show. Stay with us. You're listening to Country Life on 3. And you're very welcome back to the final part this evening of Country Life on Midlands 103. Vegetable championships are taking place this year at Moat Agricultural Show, which takes place on Sunday, the 23rd of August. That's Sunday week. Now, you have seen the double-muscled prize bull on the front of the farming newspaper, but what is a vegetable championship and what does it take to win it? That is the question that I put to Athlone native and national chairman of the UK and Ireland's National Vegetable Society, and that is Raymond Higgins.
Vegetable championships are a showcase of perfect specimens of vegetables. So where you see perfect specimens of cattle and sheep, this is the premier show for vegetables. So people will have been tendering the vegetables from early winter right through until now, and they're trying to time the quality to perfection so that it's harvested at the right time in perfect quality. And we try and have classes with multiple quantities, so you can't just have one perfect leek. You have to have multiple leeks that look exactly the same and are at perfect condition. And that's what the championships is. It's a showcase of people's hard work to perfect growing quality vegetables.
And what kinds of categories and classes do you have in the show this year?
So the Irish Championships, it has 18 classes, and it ranges from beautiful large collection classes, which are the showstoppers, where you might have 5 or 6 different kinds of vegetables, right through to the very tiniest little tomatoes, the cherry tomatoes, or the pickling shallots. We also have classes for people that have never won a red card at any NBS Championship. So we have 2 classes for them. So they're the entry-level classes to encourage the next generation up. And further to that, we also have a special class for the junior members. That's anyone under the age of 16. They have to provide 3 vegetables and just put them onto the table. And that's a lovely class, and it's open to all kids. They don't have to be a member of the National Vegetable Society. So it's really beautiful display. And what we do is we create the same kind of staging for every single exhibit. So everyone will be provided with the dish or the board, and they just place their vegetables onto it. So it's the vegetables that's judged, not the presentation or the dishes or anything like that. So it's an extremely competitive championships. We have people travelling from all parts of Ireland and even the UK and Scotland. Last year we had members travelling over from there. But yeah, we have members from the Northern Ireland right down to Kerry, Cork, Waterford, a large contingent from Dublin, and of course in the Midlands as well. We've got members in Athlone, Westmeath, Longford, Mullingar. They're all even over to Tullamore. So they'll be all arriving into Moat on Sunday morning with their cars full of the most beautiful vegetables, and then 10 o'clock judges start, and around 12:30, 1 o'clock the marquee will open and the public will be able to see the wonderful showcase.
Is the growing of vegetables for competitions like this, is that the preserve of people who have expertise? Is that preserve of people who maybe are retired and have an awful lot of time? Or can anybody compete in this kind of a competition?
Our members range from those that are just finished university, even we have some junior members, kiddies that work with their grandparents and stuff like that. But a lot of our members would be members that have been growing for a good few years. They've either had an allotment or a kitchen garden, and they've tried to improve their quality year on year. And then they've joined us as the National Vegetable Society. We've given them the information, and here they have the opportunity now to showcase to the public and to the wider community their hard work. And others range, you do need time. I think time is, you have to commit to this. It's not something that you can sow the seeds and then go away for a few months and come back and harvest it. You need to be in the garden more or less every day, and you need to be tendering to the crops. And this last few months, this has been extremely warm. It's been extremely hot. Indeed. And the temperatures meant that it's been exhausting trying to just keep on top of the watering just to keep the plants alive. And so it's a credit to anybody that's able to stage an entry, really, because we've never had that high temperatures for that so long in my experience anyway.
So for a member of the public who goes along to Moat Agricultural Show at 12 or 12:30 and enters into the marquee there, what will they see and what would you like them to take from that experience, Ray?
I think the first thing they're going to see is a wow. They'll walk in and they'll see the most beautiful displays of vegetables, and the colours, the attractiveness of these vegetables will just hopefully take their breath away. And we will have people there to tell people how they can grow their own vegetables. So we'll have an information stand. So once the public have walked around and they've got a chance to see all the beautiful exhibits, they can talk to our members, and we'll help them, give them a starting point. Maybe it's to start with something small and work their way up, or even to, maybe try another local show and see how they get on, and maybe work their way up to the Irish Championships. It's amazing to see people that come in and just go, I'd love to do this. I've always loved growing, but never thought of entering a show. And, it's that first step. It's the first step to actually put an entry on the table. And then you'd be so surprised how many people get rewarded just by doing that. And, a fourth prize or even a highly commended is worth so much to people, just to sort of show that they've got an accolade for their hard work. So, I think the public will be absolutely blown away by the standard and the quality. And
your first show, you were just 11 when you went to your first show and won your first red card, and now you have just won the All Ireland Display of Veg in a really competitive competition. Talk to us about that and what that means to you, in terms of the work that you do over the year.
So I suppose 30 years ago, I went along to Tullamore Show as a spectator. I was 11, and I had grown a few veg with my granddad, and he had shown me how to sow the potatoes and carrots and the onions and peas. It's all the cool winter crops that we normally grow in Ireland. And I went over and I was blown away. I walked into that marquee, the same kind of reaction that I hope people will see on Sunday. And I was like, wow, look at these. And then I was kind of walking around and I seen the onions and I was like, I think my onions are as good as them. And there was a chuckle beside me, and a gentleman said to me, you should enter Mount Bellew Show, which is in East Galway. And he gave me the schedule. So I brought it home and I said it to the parents, and they drove me over with the onions, and I brought a dish of British Queens, I think, as well. And didn't I win with the onions out of 22? And sure, that was like the old man was laughing at me, going, "Oh, look at this young buck now." And I just got a hook for it. And it took me years and 30 years working on it. Every single year I tried to improve or see what is happening. I joined the NVS. They gave me a load of knowledge, and then I've worked up now to be All Ireland champion, and I've won over in the Nationals over in the UK as well with my tomatoes near London 2 years ago, and that was the first time an Irish person has won the Nationals. So that was huge. It's persistence and experience and passion, and I love it. I love everything about it, and I think that's what a lot of people, when they're passionate about these hobbies, that they will put the effort in. So
So if there were three things that people could do now to make sure that either this time next year or in the spring, that they have something on their table that they have grown themselves, or that they have something that they might like to take along to a show, what three suggestions might you make?
Well, I think a lot of people think that they only sow seeds in March, and I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I like to keep my garden active throughout the winter months as well. So, once September comes, I try and clear the garden, of any debris or old plants, and then I really look after this to try to add organic manure, farmyard manure, compost, anything I can get my hands on to actually work the soil to give it nutrients back, because that's really important. And then I think about what can I sow in the soil during the winter months. And garlic is a lovely crop that you can sow your garlic in October. You can sow broad beans in October. And you can sow your onions. So you can sow winter onions grown from sets. And that means that you have already planted before even Christmas comes. And the plants will be, head start of anything that you would sow in spring. You harvest them and you'll have them ready for the show then this time next year. So thinking about using your garden more than just spring to autumn. Think about using it all through the year and looking at varieties of vegetables that keep the soil active and keep you active as well and out in the garden. So that would be my advice, is just to work on the soil and to try and think about maybe sowing some crops right through the winter.
And broad beans are so delicious. And they're so expensive. Absolutely. And they're so hard to have fresh because their season, in the shops at least, is very short. And they're not hard to grow yourself, apparently.
They're not, and I think that's the key with growing your own, is that you have access to so many different varieties of vegetables, so many different opportunities to eat stuff that maybe you can't even access in the local supermarket. Supermarkets are limited in some ways to different vegetables and very small selection of varieties. So, you can grow broad beans, you can grow some winter ones, you can grow spring ones, and you don't really see them. And it's the same with a lot of the stuff we grow, like Romanesco cauliflowers, the most architectural, beautiful cauliflowers. You can get purple cauliflowers, you can get yellow carrots, you can get purple carrots. People don't realize that there's so much variety and color and texture that you can grow from your own. And growing your own, you realise exactly what has been put onto the plants. Like, I think we're all very conscious of where food is coming from now, and what is happening to food. So by you growing your own and harvesting your own vegetables, you can control exactly what has been used to produce that vegetable, and it's the most beautiful tasting. A homegrown tomato is the most beautiful tomato. You'll never go back to a shop bought one once you've grown your own, and I think that's the key here, is that it's the taste and it's the quality and it's the pride of growing it yourself.
And thanks to Ray for the inspiration, and to all who will be involved in Moat Agricultural Show on Sunday week. That is the 23rd of August. And that is it from me for this week. I hope that you have enjoyed the show, and thank you to all of this evening's guests. I'll be back in this shiny hot seat again next Wednesday to chat about Harvest 2026 and what we can learn this year to be ready for Harvest 2027. That and more on Country Life next week. Joe Cooney is up after the news with the best of Irish and American country music. Take care of yourself. Good night.